Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining us today for your online coffee break. Today I have a very special episode for you. A couple weeks ago, I had the wonderful pleasure of going down to NASA to witness a behind-the-scenes look at the SpaceX launch of CRS 15. That was a Falcon 9 launch to resupply the International Space Station. It's a cargo mission. As part of NASA's social media program, we were allowed to actually go a little bit behind the scenes. We were treated like media. I want to say like royalty. It felt like royalty, but we were treated like a member of the media. Now, this is a special program that all social media people can apply to, even assistant principals, teachers, that sort of thing. You can apply to NASA Social and compete, and then they will award based on the individual submission. So we're pleased to say that out of 500 plus applications, we were selected to go to that particular launch. I do want to display tell you about some of the stories that we did down here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to show you some of the images that we did down there. Also, coming up, I am going to share some special audio I recorded of the launch, the powerful launch, using my H4N Pro recorder. And I also do have some exciting news that I'll announce later on in the episode. First off, here we are. We are at the NASA Social. When we first got there, we had a little get-together, and that evening, just a handful of us. There were 40 people total, but a few of us got together for dinner, had a great time. The next morning, we had to meet at the Astronaut Trading Center. Now, we were the Astronaut Hall of Fame. We were really excited about that one. That was where we get these awesome badges, media badge, to let us in behind the scenes. Of course, we had to clear through security. They had us put our suitcases along. We had dogs come up and make sure that we were all safe and okay. And then we took this wonderful bus ride 10 miles into the heart of NASA. Again, this is Kennedy Space Center. We got off. We immediately saw the huge vehicle assembly building, and we were just mesmerized by what we could see in there. And we started immediately walking to the NASA News Center, which was amazing in itself. We went to the NASA News Center Annex, which is where we spent most of our morning. Now, again, we had a very nice welcome when we got there. There were several representatives from NASA that told us about the very busy schedule we had, going from 9 all the way to 6:30 at night. We were excited. We started off with introductions, talking about everybody. Again, some fascinating people from all over the nation, all over the world that were invited to this wonderful social media conference. I personally was just very excited. I still had to pinch myself and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. We had some wonderful guests that morning. We had some guests from the National Park District who was celebrating their 60th anniversary by sending a toy dog, a stuffed dog named Seaman Jr., to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the Parks District. Then we also met some wonderful gentlemen discussing Simon, which was artificial intelligence being sent to the International Space Station to help out the astronauts. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in this episode as well. We also had some scientists from a program called EcoStress. EcoStress is a way to study the climate by looking at the temperature of plants. In other words, they could tell how healthy a plant is by measuring its temperature from space. How cool is that? So it's really incredible. After they spoke that morning, again, we were able to ask them questions going back and forth. We headed over to NASA TV. Now, this was really neat. They were actually going to do a live broadcast around the world, and we were there in the audience as a representative of the media. So again, we were just totally amazed. Here's some, just if you're watching YouTube, just a video of the panorama of the inside of the studio. You can hear the commotion going on in the audience. We were just all very excited. Once we got that out of the way, the host debuted the show. They again had some wonderful guests. Some of the guests were different than what we had experienced earlier, but again, my favorite was back. Simon, artificial intelligence. We had some representatives from Airbus, also made my NASA TV debut, which I'm so excited to see. Here's some audio clips from my question to the Simon development team. Thank you. Chuck Fields, Online Coffee Break. I assume when an astronaut is communicating with Simon, he uses a wake word like Simon. Once he starts that, does he use that wake word each time, or is it more conversational like Google Play?
There is a certain mode that we have installed. If it's activated, the crew needs to say every time Simon. So in case, for example, if a second crewmate enters the Columbus module, Simon shall not be supposed to listen to that conversation all the time and shall not disrupt that conversation. That's why we implemented that feature. So if you switch that mode on, it will only react if you start a sentence with Simon, what's going on? Simon, how are you? Simon, can you please help me? If you switch off this mode, then you can just talk freely to Simon and it will listen to everything that you're saying, and you don't need any keywords. You can just speak to it freely as whatever you like to say.
And we've done a lot of work to make sure we pick up on sort of the way conversational cues work, so you know when something's directed at Simon or something else. And there's a lot of work to be done around conversational analytics to make it as natural as possible, since multiple people are talking in an environment.
What I asked Ness that you can't hear is, I said, what if this astronaut is named Simon? Can we rename it? And they said, let's rename the astronaut.
Maybe just one thing I want to add. I mean, it's a bit more as a smartphone which follows you. So for this approach we're doing, it's what is really, really important for us is the human-machine interaction, so that the astronaut works together with an artificial intelligence as a team. So human and machine, they are both part of our experiment. And we are very curious what Alexander Gast will tell us after trying Simon.
Well, that is some great technology for sure. Christian, Philip, Brett, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing a little bit about Simon with us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And incidentally, Britt Greenstein was the representative from IBM. He's a VP of Watson, Artificial Intelligence, Internet of Things, and he'll be joining us for a future episode. We then had a really quick lunch, and then we got to go to the vehicle assembly building. Now, this was neat. We didn't just get to go from the outside. We got a wonderful tour of the inside of this massive, massive building. It was incredible. And you just got to remember, every rocket that you've seen, space shuttles, Apollo missions, they've all started in this building. It's incredibly tall on the inside. There's so much volume on the inside. That's one of my friends, Aaron. We were just having a great time. Several NASA representatives were giving us this wonderful personalized tour, telling us about all the wonderful features inside this amazing building. It was incredible. We almost couldn't believe that we were actually inside this building. They had this wonderful tribute wall of the space shuttle. It literally had signatures of everyone involved in the space shuttle program has their signature on this wall inside the vehicle assembly building. It was truly humbling and just amazing to be in here. All of us in the social media crowd were just in heaven. We just loved this. We even got a glimpse of the Orion space capsule that was covered. It was still in the vehicle assembly building. So again, that was an amazing experience. Then we got back on the bus and we started touring several of the launch pads out there. And it was surreal to see the SpaceX launch pads. Of course, we had to watch out for the liquefied hydrogen flammable gas out there, but it was neat. One thing I did say is that we had lightning warnings all day, but we did get to go to the flame trench by viewing it from inside the bus. Again, this is where all the flames come out during the rockets. They even had a portalet in this flame trench, which I have no idea. I'm assuming they move it before the launches. But even that, we got to go around and we saw where they filmed Men in Black 3, if you remember that scene where they're coming out of the launch pad. That's what we got to see firsthand, which was really slick. Again, just brought back memories. I could just see that movie vividly in my eyes as we walked by that. Lots of restricted areas down at NASA. And again, with these wonderful B-Day badges and escorts, we were able to go. One of the places we got to go is called Veggie and the Advanced Plant Habitat Areas. Now, this is where they do space plant biology. And again, they treated us so special. We were able to go in there and see the future, see how they're studying plants and how they're trying to make plants grow healthier on the space station to feed the astronauts. Now, a lot of astronauts complain when they're up there for months at a time, especially Scott Kelly. They're talking about how bland the food is. For Scott Kelly in particular, he was able to sample lettuce grown on the space station, and he just talked about how sweet it tastes. Again, you're used to eating processed foods. Nothing beats having a fresh plant. Now, what's really neat is they gave us, or at least on this particular mission, they're actually sending peppers up to the space station for the first time. So now it'll be a little bit spicier up there in orbit. Even how they package the plant seeds is amazing. They actually had to encapsulate them in plastic to get them safely to the space station. Again, they have a whole variety of plants that are growing specifically for that. We did get to go to a place called Swamp Works, which is where they take regolith, which is what they call the topsoil for, say, the moon or Mars, and they're able to experiment with that. But the highlight the rest of the day is we got to go to the launch pad where the Falcon 9 for the CRS 15 mission was. And now SpaceX lays the rockets horizontally. They do not put them vertically on the launch pad until the day of the launch. But anyway, it was pouring down rain, but we were all just so very excited to go up and see this rocket that we were hoping and we knew that we were going to see for the next day. So we were just so excited. Now, the next day came. We had to be there. Yes, we would have representatives from the United States Space Force on hand. But this is really exciting. If you've never seen a launch before, it's amazing how quiet it is until the launch occurs. And then probably about 10 seconds, depending on how far away you are, you can actually hear the launch. Now, here we go. You can hear how quiet it is as the rocket lifts off. You can hear the snap of cameras. You can hear the crickets. You see this beautiful light ascending in the sky. It is so gorgeous. You can even hear the other people just expressing excitement. Now, here comes the sound. Watch your stereo. It gets loud. You can literally feel it in your chest right now. It's so incredible. That's not even the Falcon Heavy. I can't imagine. I cannot wait to experience how that sounds. And we saw these beautiful contours, or contrails left in the sky after the rocket reached the upper atmosphere. It was truly beautiful. Again, launch time for this particular mission was 5:42 a.m., I believe. So it was perfect. Just as the rocket got up high enough, the glimmer of the sun off the smoke trails was just so beautiful. It was truly an amazing experience to see that launch firsthand. We were only a few miles away, so it was just so powerful and so beautiful to see this rocket just keep going and going and going until it vanished and went to orbit. I had such a good time. I highly recommend, if you get the chance to witness a launch, go down and see it. There's no words that can explain just the beauty and the power and the awesomeness of witnessing a rocket launch. It's truly amazing. Our team was so ecstatic. We all had a great time. Again, on YouTube, we're sharing photos now of our team as we looked up at these beautiful rocket ascending to the sky. So we just had a great time. It was such a wonderful experience. I can't thank NASA enough for letting us go down there, met some great friends, and had a wonderful time.
Online coffee break.
Well, here's the exciting news that I just cannot wait to announce. We've actually been selected by NASA Social again to come back down to NASA for the Solar Parker mission at the beginning of August. I don't know how that happened, but we are so excited to once again go down and get a behind-the-scenes look. Now, this is ULA, the United Launch Alliance, and it's going to be a Delta rocket. Should be pretty powerful, a little bit more powerful than the Falcon 9 we just saw. Again, just stay tuned right here at onlinecoffeebreak.com, and we'll share all the information that we can find about this mission leading up to it and then following up afterwards. I want to thank you again for just taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to comment on today's topic, just go to our website, onlinecoffeebreak.com, or find us on facebook.com/onlinecoffeebreak. If you'd like to follow us at instagram.com/onlinecoffeebreak, we'd appreciate that. You can also call us at 317-862-4700. Leave us a comment there, and we just might share it on the air. Thanks again for joining us today. See you next time. God bless.